Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of the program Double Standards. We had a gap of about 3 months or so in between, but we have just resumed from today onwards. So we would come back to this program regularly and doing it Monday from 9 to 10. Sometimes we'll be increasing the time, bearing in mind the gravity and importance of the ongoing topic, because normally we make analysis, a news analysis of some items that are ongoing. Today's topic is prospects for Tehran, Riyadh tour. What a topic. It could provide a theme for Frederick Forsyth's another thriller, or maybe from the wishful thinking of an optimistic empiricist of the 21st century. But before we go into details, I would like to introduce our guest for today, and who has got voracious research and study on international relations, Middle East security, and all other issues that are pertaining to today's life. And he's one of the leading analysts we have in our community, and I welcome him to the program. Shabir Razvi is with us today. Welcome to the program, Shabir.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. Pleasure.
Now, before I start the program and we discuss the issue which is under discussion today, I have 4 small points to start with. First of all, I congratulate and I express my felicitations, my greetings, my best wishes and prayers to all the Mu'mineen and Mu'minat on the blessed Wiladat of Imam Ali Naqi alayhi salam. So congratulations to all of you. The second point is that this program is, as usual, live and interactive. We will have 2 breaks in between the first hour, and when we have the second break around 9:55 p.m. and when we come back after that time, I would ask our production team to open the telephone lines, which would entice you to participate in today's program, either by asking any question pertaining to today's topic, so be careful about that, or you can share your views, your erudite views on today's topic, and to make it more powerful narrative on today's issue. So my next third point is that, as you all know, that we observed in our geographical territory where we are living, we observed at the aurora dawn in the morning another lunar eclipse. And that was when the moon was full. So this was lunar eclipse, and this is obligatory upon all the Mu'mineen and Mu'minat to offer 2 rakat namazi ayat, the salati ayat. This is mandatory, this is obligatory, we have to do it. And as we could not do it in the morning, most of you may have missed that as well, but this is the time you can offer these 2 rakat as namazi ayat, and this is 2 rakat, and in each rakat you have to go for 5 ruku. And for more information you can ask your ulama. I'm just a beginner, I'm just a student, and we learn from our ulama, so they can have a better understanding of that, and they can tell you how to perform namazi ayat. Now, why namazi ayat is obligatory? It becomes obligatory when 4 major things they occur, phenomenal things occur, the part of the nature. One is sun eclipse, second is lunar eclipse, third is any earthquake or tsunami that occurs, and fourth is any thunder or lightning, or for that matter any disturbance of the super celestial phenomenon. So namazi ayat becomes obligatory. So whenever there is a condition of fear, we feel fearful, this becomes obligatory. So this was the third point. And last point is that this is an opportune moment, this is the right moment that we offer Fatiha for the departed souls who perished in the first accident, that was the crane fall at the start of the Hajj rituals, and then at the stampede. So let's say a Surah Fatiha for all the departed souls. And Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Shabir Bhai, how conjectural or wishful it sounds to see Iran and Saudi Arabia rubbing shoulders in the next 3 to 6 months. So how wishful is that?
I think it's definitely conjecture, but I don't know whether it's wishful. Because look, at the end of the day, if one analyzes the status of the Saudi regime, the Saudi monarchy, the Saudi group of people who are ruling that particular country. I just about Freudian slip I was going to do, a company, because it's a nation which is prefixed with the name of the family. Very rare have we found historically that a country has been named by a family itself. And in contemporary times, there is no other country other than Saudi Arabia which is known by that name. So quite often in programs and discussions, I've said that we should perhaps avoid using the word Saudi Arabia, use its original word Hijaz or whatever. However, leaving that aside, look, what you've got to understand, and what I think we have to really evaluate, is what is the agenda of the Saudi regime and what is Iran trying to achieve on a global scale. These are diagrammatically opposed perspectives as to where the world is going, where the Muslim nation is to go, and the relationship between the Muslim Ummah and the wider world. So there are 3 aspects, if you like, of this, whatever one may call it, thawing in the relationship. Iran invariably, since the revolution, since 1979, has made all the efforts that there are possible to have good relationship with the neighbors. In fact, I would go in so far as to say that even the ugly regime of Saudi Arabia, Iran has made rapprochement after rapprochement, whether it was when Rafsanjani was in power or when Khatami was in power. Even Ahmadinejad also tried to have improved relationship. But what we've got to see, that the oracle, the sort of the megaphone that the Saudis use to hoodwink the Muslim Ummah is this banner of Islam and being custodians of the Haramain Sharafain. I don't know how they got that title. They probably acquired it themselves. So they have an agenda of trying to create as much schism in the Muslim world as possible, whether you look at it from Morocco to Malaysia. And since the power of Al-Azhar Institute has diminished in the last 30 years, when the petrodollars were used and Medina has become the center of sending out all these takfiri trained ulama to different parts of the world, whether they're coming to UK, going to USA, other European cities, certainly in Pakistan, India, Malaysia, Indonesia, where you never in the past, in countries in Far East, certainly you never thought that they would have any kind of discrimination against the Shias, who are a very minority in that part of the world. But because the petrodollars and the training that these so-called scholars from Medina have received, they just go there to provoke and to create problems in those countries. So, as I said, the agenda of the Saudi regime is to create as much fasad, as much problems in the Muslim world. We see in Pakistan, as you look at it in the last 30 years, when the crisis in Afghanistan was going on, when Al-Qaeda was created, you know it better than I do, Ijaz Bhai, that Mr. Brzezinski was standing at the border of Afghanistan saying that Mujahideen, go and fight the infidels of Russia. Who was funding it? Saudis were funding it. Pakistani territory was being used. In a similar vein, if you look at it, and the problems that we are facing in Pakistan are really the leftover of that period when Mr. Brzezinski and the Saudis used Pakistani territory to create problem in Afghanistan. And you see now in what's happening in Syria that Turkey's territory has been utilized to create problem in Syria. And I suspect similar fate beholds Turkey at this moment.
No, it reminds me a French proverb of the age of enlightenment, the 17th and 18th century predominantly. Nicolas Boileau, a great metaphysical poet from the French literature, his famous Le Terrain, his metaphysical poem, very long poem, epic poem. And on the sidelines he says that hypocrisy is the homage that vice pays to the virtue.
Oh, yes.
So that's why we have named our program Double Standards. That's a very euphemistic expression to hypocrisy as we use double standards. Now, the rumors are percolating that the Saudi Suderi King Salman, by the way, the Suderi tribe has been reinstated at the Riyadh Palace, the Palace of Saud, after 33 years of hiatus. Last one was King Khalid, who died in 1982, and now we had at the start of 2015 King Salman, another Suderi after 33 years. So the rumors are percolating that he is in the process of forming a team of 7 people. We can call them as we have Suderi Sevens, the 7 brothers they were, and now we have Magnificent 7,
yes,
if we may call. Nothing magnificent about them, but we're borrowing the term actually. So he's in the process of forming a team of 7 people, and they would explore, it's ad hoc task given to them. They will explore the possibilities of ameliorating the diplomatic and bilateral relations with Iran. There's a lot of pressure on Saudi Arabia, as we have seen in the last 2 years. And now their mentors, like United States, the NATO countries, United Kingdom, and even Israel, their biggest mentor in the region. Now, even they are frustrated, especially United States and NATO countries and Britain, they are frustrated. So they are almost on their own, on the bumpy road of the royal family, a royal way of misruling the country, as we call. Now, when they form that team, if they take one step ahead, now, Ayatollah al-Uzma, Ali Khamenei, is the great supporter, unparalleled supporter of peace, reconciliation, and love, unity amongst Muslims. Now, if they take a step, the Saudis take a step, he would take the opportunity. He would say, okay, if you start behaving, I'll take 2 steps ahead and I'll form my team also. But then they will have to fulfill some conditions, the Saudis, in order to shake hands with the Rahbar and his team. And it's a long way to go. So how wishful is that? How Saudi team, and that's a credible news I'm sharing with you in the last 4 or 5 months, because he changes his team looking after the Saudi Wahhabi Salafi ideology in the religious affairs ministry. So they've embarked upon exploring possibilities. So how sincere they would be in that?
Look, of course the Saudis have been marginalized, and the Israelis with the P5+1 agreement that has taken place between Iran and the Western powers. And in fact, as you know, in the last few months, Mr. Netanyahu has been furious, not only furious, but I think he's been sort of barking all over the place, and no one is really listening to him. It's the first time that it has happened to an Israeli leader, whereby all the power that Israel commands in the US through IPAC and the sort of manipulation of the Congress and the Senate and so on. But nonetheless, it appears that some kind of real change is occurring between the relationship between Iran and the Western powers. And there are a number of reasons, and I'll come to your question in a minute, if I may. There are economic pressures. There are issues, as we know, a number of European countries are virtually bankrupt in the sort of Mediterranean region. You take it from Greece, Italy, Portugal, Spain, and so on. And interestingly, a country like Greece used to import 25% of its energy resources from Iran. But because of the sanctions and the restrictions, they had to stop at that. So one doesn't talk about, the pressure that the Greek government actually faced by stopping oil coming from Iran, and of course the other issues that came up. So the reality of the situation is that sanctions that were being applied to Iran obviously did hurt and are hurting Iran. But like all economists and analysts will tell you that sanctions have a boomerang effect. It's really to cut your nose to spite your face. That's what we have done in the West. So they realized in the West, the media and the right-wing press will try to make you believe that it was really the pressure of the sanctions that brought Iran to the table. But the reality is that on the other side, our economic crisis in Europe was also quite significant. And only recently, late last year, there was a conference at King's College, which was held under the auspices of the Energy Security, which I'm sure you're very familiar
my alma mater,
with the department there. And the professor there made a very cogent point. He said in the next 5 years, he believed that Iran could be the #1 energy supplier to the West.
Excellent. No, we will carry on with our discourse, but I have been asked to take a break. So we take a short break, and after that short break, we'll be straight back to the studios and we'll discuss the rest of the program.